Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, you probably know that I've been kind of a rock hound all my life, but my fascination with rocks really accelerated about a year and a half ago when I went to the Rock and Mineral Show in downtown Waco at the convention center. From there I discovered a local vendor that was also sold a lot of rocks and minerals in town. Kind of became friends with them, and my rock collection has really increased in size in the last year and a half since that happened. And in fact, you may recall about 6 months ago I built a display case to hold my rocks and minerals, and then got all my rocks and minerals in it, and it still wasn't enough. I was still out of space, so I ended up transforming a desk I built many years ago into another one, and that's where we are now. And I've shown you a few of the pieces I have, especially on the live streams, but I've never really done a walkthrough and shown you the entire collection. So I'm going to try and do that a little bit today. Let's take a look. So this was the original rock and mineral case that I built, and like I said, as soon as I got all the stuff I had into it, it was already full. And so, you know, I realized that right off the bat when I installed it, and then one of my viewers pointed out the same thing. So like I said, I built this desk over here, or transformed this desk into another one, but we're going to kind of go through here and look at some of the kind of fun stuff I have. So one of the first things I really discovered that I loved when I first bought my first couple of rocks was I saw that there were these ones that were ultraviolet reactive, and they looked like just something normal, but when you hit them with a black light, they do something incredibly incredible. And so, you know, this was one of the first pieces I got, and I love the fact of what that thing did under a black light. This piece also is another example. This is called Mangano calcite, and it's just kind of a basic, you know, very, you know, pastel pink color. But when you hit it with that black light, it turns like really just a hot pink. That's really the only way to describe it. And that one too, this is one I picked up at the last year's show, which does some really great things under ultraviolet, and that one too. I kind of like how that one does. This next one here, this yellow one, is just amazing. It glows under it, and the camera isn't even doing a really good job of what it's capable of, but I really like that one. I got that at the rock show this year too. And then I got that at the rock show last year. It had that kind of little green glow there at the bottom, which I thought was really neat. So this piece here is kind of a recent acquisition. I got this recently. It looks kind of cool by itself, but when you hit it with the black light, this one kind of glows this kind of pink color. Now I'm told it's kind of the same stuff as this Mangano calcite over here. It's kind of related, which is why it kind of has the same pink tint to it that the Mangano calcite has. This one kind of glows a little bit green on the inside, which is kind of cool. Now in terms of glowing green though, you got to look at this one. This is also a recent acquisition. I got this just a couple weeks ago, and actually I saw them post a video of it on their Facebook page, and I specifically went into the store asking about it, and they still had that, so that baby is mine. And this is kind of the same thing. This is a halite opal growing on a few other things, and then this is just a halite opal just by itself. But that kind of does cool things under the black light too, right? And of course that's just a ruby, or kind of a raw ruby there. Not quite, probably not gem grade, but kind of has the same qualities. And rubies usually glow under a black light also. Now, of course, you remember when I built this one that had all the ultraviolet stuff in there, I put special black lights in that one to make everything stand out and look really great. And you see the uranium glass looks fantastic under there. Unfortunately, the lights aren't deep enough into the UV to give you the same effect with some of the UV reactive stones. You know, those two in the back there are hardly doing anything, but they really pop when you hit it with the deep light. And, you know, even this one looks all right, but it pops way more with the flashlight, and this one too. But at least you get a good effect on this one. This one looks really cool, so I got that one in the front. And on the bottom row on this side, I have some more of my different kinds of specimens. That there is really kind of pretty. That's actually salt, surprisingly enough. They call it pink halite, but it's basically salt. I kind of like these labradorite stones. They're kind of cool just because of what they do under the light. They just have this really beautiful ability to glow. And you know, I'm not usually that much into the shaped and polished stones like that, but those were kind of pretty. See, these little palm stones do kind of the same thing. Kind of cool, right? And I got a couple of opals. Let's see if we can see any of the fire in here. Okay, when they fall onto the floor there, but hopefully you can see a little bit of the fire in there. I saw a documentary on opals once and was kind of fascinated with them, and so ended up picking up a couple of them. That's a meteorite that I picked up when I went over and saw that dinosaur valley thing where they had all those metal sculptures of the dinosaurs. And there was also like a rock and mineral shop, and I went to that petrified wood speakeasy. Remember, I did that all in one vlog, and I picked that up there. And then, of course, that there is a meteor from Meteor Crater. That was the one that you know, blew that big hole in the desert that I took you to last summer, or last winter, on my way back from my mom's funeral. That's just kind of a cool thing because it's got a whole bunch of little sparkly things all going on in there. There's like 4 different things in there. They said what, quartz and mica and galena and iron. So that's kind of cool. This is something that actually Kara from Gallery 11 gave me that. So that was really cool. I like that piece. And piece of smoky quartz in the back. That's really kind of cool. I like that one. These like quartz clusters here, these are things that I've just had for years and years and years. Some of my earliest rocks here, and I mean, they pale in comparison to some of the ones I have now, but I kind of keep them around because they're still pretty cool. So this is another row here. This is just kind of a pretty quartz geode. I actually have a couple like this. But I like the fact that, you know, I got both halves of it, because this used to be one piece, and it isn't cut, so it isn't polished, but they just kind of managed to break it in half, and that allows you to really see what's inside these things. And like I said, I got a couple of these, but I really like this one, so this one's over here. This piece here is a piece of green fluorite, and I like this. This is another ultraviolet reactive one, because you hit it with the black light, it goes from this kind of pretty bluish green color to almost a deep blue, almost a purple color. So, like I said, another one of these things I really like that are ultraviolet reactive. I collect a lot of those, and if I see something like that that's really cool, I'm definitely going to grab that. And then, of course, I got that at the rock show this past one. That's a piece of silicon. I know it looks really silver, and it is very silver looking. It looks like aluminum foil, but that is a piece of silicon. That's kind of anything that you got with a chip inside of it, a computer chip in it. That chip is made out of this stuff. So this stuff is pretty valuable mineral. And then I got this kind of cool amethyst. This is one I got in the store, and I discovered something about it that the people who were selling it didn't even know. They thought it was a pretty or a pretty piece to begin with, but at that point I didn't know what I was looking at, so I would shine my flashlight into everything, and there is very definitely a very green tint to the contents in there. I don't know how much you can see it in there, but when I pointed that out to Kara, she says, oh yeah, there's probably some uranium in there or something like that. This is another one of those things that I probably wouldn't normally go too much into because it's a little too polished for my case. You know, they basically flattened it off and polished it, and it's all smooth. In fact, I can see they missed when they routed the edge here. There's kind of a little sharp edge there that they missed. But it was kind of cool because there's got kind of a deep trench in there and some kind of really pretty stuff in there. So I said, okay, whatever. I'll take that off their hands. But this is one of my favorite pieces. This is Lemurian quartz. And I saw this and I don't know, it's just all these tiny little crystals with a slight pink tint to them. They're really sparkly and all that. I really like that one. That's one of my favorites. I got a couple of pieces of petrified wood here. I actually bought that from the Gallery 11 people and got that at Petrified Forest. This one's kind of cool. This is called Rainbow Moonstone. Basically, there's just a bunch of layers in there that just kind of reflect light back in a very beautiful way. And yeah, that's a nice piece of that. I like that ludlamite. That's really kind of pretty looking. A lot of, green on that. A lot of, glisten and all that fun stuff. That one's kind of pretty. I bought that at that Rock and Minerals show I went to a year and a half ago. That one too, I really liked. Still kind of cool. That's a piece of pyrite actually that I've had probably since I was in my 20s, maybe a little earlier. So, you can see I had some stuff. I just, my collection just kind of got out of control about a year and a half ago. But you know what? That happens sometimes with me. And that's another piece of pyrite there with a little bit of quartz in it. I don't know how much you can see it. There's tiny little white flecks in there, and that's actually quartz crystal growing among the zinc. And then this is actually kind of the opposite. This is quartz crystal with a little bit of zinc, with a little pyrite in it. And so, that's kind of cool. I have run the whole gamut from pure pyrite to pyrite with quartz to quartz with pyrite to just pyrite all by itself here. I thought that one was cool because it's just one big giant cube. That's naturally occurring. That's just how that happens sometimes. Because you look at even the little crystals on some of these other pieces, they're all very very cubic or sometimes hexagonal. And that's a piece of malachite that I got, and the truth is I'd seen it sitting in the store a whole bunch of times and never really paid that much attention to it. And one time they brought a flashlight over to me and said, hey, look at this thing under the flashlight. And this thing is just amazing under bright light. In fact, it's even more amazing. You take it outside and put it in the sun, look at it under there, because this thing just glows. It's gorgeous. One of my favorite pieces, definitely. Let's see, a few more pieces of fluorite. These things glow a little bit too. Some obsidian, that's basically volcanic black glass. I like that lemon calcite, that's really pretty. This blue kyanite is actually a really great piece too. I like this one. And that's just a little ingot of copper. That's basically what that looks like out of the ground. And then somebody polished that side. I wish they hadn't actually, but that's okay. That's kind of cool to have too, right? Piece of aragonite, piece of aquamarine. Actually, I was talking to Kara yesterday at the store, and she found a really gorgeous piece of aquamarine that's probably going to end up in my collection at some point, hopefully. That's bismuth. That's just kind of a metal that just kind of grows that way. I thought that was really interesting. And that one almost looks like an aquarium or something like that, where you got the sand and rocks on the bottom, and then you have little fish in there. But that's actually a rock. I saw that and I said, oh man, I got to take that with me. Definitely. That's a keeper. And then of course that's a piece of desert rose. I got that at the Rock and Minerals show this past year. Very fragile piece, so I actually damaged it a little bit getting it in there. So that's one of those that I don't pick up and look at a whole lot. So you're just going to have to look at that through the camera. But that's pretty cool. And then we get over to the section here that's the converted desk. I've decided, since this is a little bit higher off the ground, that I'm going to put some of my favorite pieces here. So this is my bigger things, or the things that I'm really kind of showcasing right now. Things move around as new pieces come in, but that's a piece of tourmaline and quartz that I picked up recently, and I like all the the glow and the sparkle on that one. Let's see if we can get that looking a little better here. Yeah, see all sorts of great stuff on that. So that's a really pretty piece. I actually picked that up. That's a rainbow carbonium, and I picked that up at Meteor Crater. In fact, Chris and Kara at Gallery 11 have recently had a few of these and have been trying to get me to get one. I say, yeah, no, I already got one of them. But that's a pretty cool piece. This is something that I had been looking at for a while, and I've told you sometimes that Chris and Kara have gotten to know the kind of things that I'm into, and so they look at things and say, oh yeah, that's something Breck would want to see, and this was one of those things, and they were right. This thing's really wicked cool. Look at that deep cavern inside of there. That's called blue lace agate. Definitely a good one. Very prized part of my collection. This is something in the same family. This is a grape agate. This is just something I saw in the store and that kind of called to me, and I figured, oh yeah, I gotta get that one. Looks really cool. Like I said, very closely related to this one. What I've tried doing is taking some of my rocks these days, and if they're closely related to each other, I try and keep them together so you can kind of say, yeah, this is related to this, which is related to this, and you know, that kind of thing. I think it organizes things a little bit and makes it a little bit more interesting. That's just a piece of cut and polished quartz, but I like how one of the little lattices in there glows with a rainbow when you hit the light just right. In fact, I've got it intentionally faced forward in such a way so you get that rainbow when you go by it. Like I said, I'm not really into the polished stuff, but there's also that little golden crystal in the center. They call that a golden healer crystal, and that's kind of cool in there too, right in the middle of the thing here. But like I said, it's polished and it's shaped, and so I don't know, I think it ruins a little bit, but it's still pretty cool, right? This is something that they actually talked me into taking a look at, and I wasn't really sure what it was, but it was pretty and it kind of glowed a lot. What I discovered when I got home and did a little research on this is part of a type of rock called an evaporite. So basically what was happened is these are all the rocks and minerals that at some point were kind of liquefied and just floating around in some ancient sea somewhere. And as that sea dried out, all those chemicals just kind of gathered to the ground and compressed into something like this, and this is called Ramshorn selenite. And you can basically see the different layers as it evaporated, the water evaporated, and kind of different layers of things in there. And then as the water completely left, it kind of twisted into this little shape here, and now it looks like this. This is another one of those that I'm very careful handling because it's very soft. Now that's another really cool piece that I picked up. One, it looks really pretty just by itself, but this is another one of those that does just amazing things under a black light. Look at that piece there, right there. It's black right there in the middle, but then you hit it with this and it kind of hits that bright gray color, and you can see it all the way around this thing. All these clear crystals here glow this blue color. In fact, when you rotate the thing around and look at the back and hit it with the black light, it does the same thing. All those black areas turn white. So that's definitely a very cool piece. I like that one. It's almost as pretty in the back as it is in the front, right? So that's a good one. This is something else I've got. This was one of the first things I kind of discovered at Gallery 11 was this Ultraviolet. In fact, it was this Ultraviolet pyramid. And I told him from the beginning I'd really like to find just a raw piece of Ultraviolet. And it's been a bit of a challenge, I think. It's got to be out there. I just got to be able to maybe go find some myself. Apparently they're on the shore of one of the Great Lakes. And so maybe I just need to go do some rock hunting on the Great Lakes and look and see if I can find some of my own Ultraviolet. But I found that it's supposedly a model of the moon. It's got the craters and all the stuff in there, but it's made out of Ultraviolet, and it's probably the closest thing I have so far to a raw piece of it. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, I keep that next to that because they're both Ultraviolet, and so kind of keep them together. And these are some of the larger pieces I have. A couple of things that are kind of very similar, actually, apophyllite and stilbite. Stilbite and apophyllite. So this one's more of the apophyllite, and this is more of the stilbite. But that's kind of cool. And then that's another piece of the same thing, and that's mostly the apophyllite again, with a little bit of the stilbite crystals. But I like the really deep green color you get in this one, and especially that crystal right there in front. That thing is awesome. Look at that thing in the middle of that. And this is something I just picked up recently. Actually, one of the co-owners of the shop said he really liked this one because it has just a nice smooth surface to it. This is called botryoidal malachite, and this is the same kind of stuff as this malachite here, but it forms a slightly differently. And like I said, I saw that and I couldn't take my eyes off of that. So that's a cool piece. This is another one of those quartz geodes like I showed you a minute ago. Like I said, I have two of these. This is the larger of the two, but once again, it's the same kind of basic thing. I like it. I like how it's just the rough edges and they just broke it in half, and it's just a very gorgeous piece. And we kind of get over here. This is over into my section of fossils, and so I picked up this fossil, for instance, when I went to the Inner Space Caverns, that first cave that I went to, like I think in my first summer when I was here. I got that there. I got that at a natural history museum. I think that was that same place that had the metal dinosaurs I was talking about a little bit ago. And they had that, and I picked that up. That's a reconstructed, basically. It's a couple teeth and a couple of the jawbones of a mosasaur, and so that's kind of cool. That's another trilobite. I got that one from Gallery 11, along with this opalized ammonite fossil. If you remember when I went to that place that had the ammonites in the wall, that was like 50 or 75 miles from here, and I brought this along, and I showed you that, yeah, I got one too, but look at that. It's an old kind of relative of like snails that lived in the ocean, and rather than just turning to stone, it kind of got this kind of what they called opalized, where it's got all the colors on it. So that's kind of cool. And I got a couple of pieces of amber that have insects in it. Jurassic Park fan. But yeah, picked that one up just the other day, so that's a new piece. Great stuff in there, though. And this is also a fossil. It's a fossilized piece of coral. And normally that probably wouldn't have caught my attention too much, but when you hit it with a black light, it's one of those that does something really cool. So I figured, okay, yeah, we're gonna have to get one of those too. And they were cheap. They were only a couple bucks a piece. So figured, what the heck, right? And that's this here is called an Othioceras. It's basically a ancient ancestor of like shrimp and squid and that kind of stuff. And they dug little holes and built their shells in these little columns like that. And eventually, when they died, they were dug up, and that's what they look like. So that was kind of cool. Some of the stuff behind there is more just kind of personal memories for me. When I was a kid, I was in the Boy Scouts, and we went to summer and winter camp every year. And one year for winter camp, we had these lumps of coal that we were using in the furnace to keep ourselves warm. I said, that's kind of cool, so I want one of those. So I grabbed one of those. Like I said, probably 15 years old, and I've had it ever since. So that's just kind of something, a little piece of my personal history. This is another piece of coal. This one is actually tied to one of my vlogs. A couple of years ago, there was a train wreck, and it happened like the last day before I was due to go back to work. And I really wish I could have gone, because it happened earlier in the morning. I would have loved to have been there the first day and see what it was like there. But I made a decision to go there the next week. And that was probably a better time to do it because at that point all the first responders were out of the way and it was basically just in cleanup mode. And I was able to walk around the whole place with like, you know, no escort, no one hassling me. They just left me alone. In fact, one of the people when I walked out said, yeah, you probably should have been there with steel toes, a safety vest, and a hard hat. But, you know, I left, there wasn't any problems, and I brought that piece with me. That's basically the same thing as that, but that came out of a derailed train car and was baked by the resulting fire. So that's a really cool piece for a piece of my memory of doing some of the vlogs, because, you know, sometimes I bring back fun things from vlogs to help me remember them by, and that was definitely an interesting one. That's something there that I've had for many, many years. Turns out when the Berlin Wall fell at the end of the Cold War, there was a local German church in Huntington Beach that had advertised that they'd acquired some pieces of the Berlin Wall and they were selling them. And so I picked up one, and that's my piece of the Berlin Wall. And I don't know, like I said, that's just a memory of something that I did way back when. I thought it was kind of a cool little artifact. Little piece of the Berlin Wall. You don't have one, do you? And then we get up here to the top and we get some of my more elaborate specimens. This was just a big, massive quartz cluster that they found for me at Gallery 11 and thought that I would like. I saw it in the window and it's like, yeah, they were right. But yeah, that thing's huge. And you'd think that might be the end of it, but then it wasn't. Then I saw this baby. And I got that one too. I got that at the trade show last year. They've been, or at the Rock and Mineral show this past year. And they'd shown me pictures of this thing, and I said, "Oh man, yeah, I really, really want that." And they just gotten it into the store right before the show, and I said, "If you bring that to the show, I'll probably buy it from you." And I did. I got this piece too, I think, at the same time. That's a really cool one. I like that one. And then we got this amethyst cathedral here. Really kind of pretty. I like that. You know, I've got a little piece of amethyst on one of the other shelves, but it's really kind of a small one. And I don't know. This shows what you can actually get them to do sometimes. In fact, you remember when I went to the Perot Museum in Dallas about a month or two ago, they had one that was so big they put it on hinges and you could open and close it, except the open and closing function wasn't working right that day. But apparently you supposedly could crank a wheel and it would open and close it, so you could see what it looks like, you know, before people discovered what was inside and what they discovered when it was actually open. And then I'm going to end with this last piece, because this is the latest piece to my collection, and this is actually a very, very beautiful piece. This is another one that they saw for me and said, "Oh, Breck would love this one." And it came with this really elaborate wood display rack that somebody built. Looks like it was basically an old knotty tree branch or something like that, and they shaved it around to make it you know, fit this thing perfectly. And basically it's got kind of this brown color to it, so it's what they call a golden healer crystal. It's basically the same thing that's in this piece over here, where it's just right kind of in the middle, except this whole thing is that. Except for this green that's all over it, and that green, they're calling that, well, chlorite, or kind of a more commercialized name, garden quartz. But like I said, that thing is amazing. Look at all the little pieces coming off of that thing. All those different angles it's going out on. Yeah, you know. Now you kind of understand my obsession with rocks, right? Alright, I was just editing this video and I realized I didn't show you one of my favorite pieces. And ironically, it's easy to overlook because pound for pound, it's the smallest piece in my collection. It's this piece right here. This is something that I'd looked at it a bunch of times in the shop and said, yeah, okay, that's cool. but never really paid that much attention to it until I found out what it was. You know me, I love things about astronomy and space and all that, so anything that has a connection to astronomy or space, like this does, is going to be of a very cool, a very cool piece for my collection. This is a piece of moldavite. Now, moldavite is a very, very rare mineral that can only be found one place in the world. It's in southern Germany, and it's the result of a 15 million year old meteor impact crater. Apparently the meteor hit there 15 million years ago, and it created so much heat and pressure that it turned the surrounding sand into this green glass. And that green glass is called moldavite. And you get a light on it just right, you can see through it. It's a gorgeous piece. So yeah, like I said, I like that one definitely. That's a keeper. Apparently they make jewelry and all sorts of stuff out of that. Pound for pound, the most valuable piece I own. So I hope you enjoyed that little journey into my new obsession with rocks, and got to understand maybe a little bit why I like the pieces that I have. So hope you enjoyed that. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.